Hey y'all, this is Anna Alexander and I'm coming to you from inside my car, having just left the Batman on opening weekend. And I like to keep these short, but this one might be long because I got a lot to say. I do have a lot to say, and I need to start with my relationship with Batman in general. It's kind of fair weather here and there, only because he's an interesting character, but I'm a Superman and a Captain America girl. I like just a smidge more lightheartedness to my tales, and Batman is not that. And, you know, even though he's got the best rogues gallery, hands down, no question there, it is because of that rogues gallery that my relationship with Batman is kind of because especially the last 3 Christopher Nolan films and the series Gotham, it gets dark, and it gets so dark. And you know how you have the good evil, the neutral evil, and the chaotic evil? It gets chaotic evil real quick. And if you've seen any of my reaction videos to things that get chaotic evil, I don't do too well in that situation. You've also would have seen that I also have to put my fingers in my ears to kind of protect myself, and my fingers were in my ears a lot during this movie. And I knew that going in. I had that strong suspicion, and so willingly putting myself in that situation, it's a mental journey for me to do that. But having said that, I was delightfully surprised at how much I enjoyed this film. And I'm going to throw a lot of stream of consciousness at you, because there was things that I like and there was things that I didn't like. Overall, if you were to ask me, is the Batman a superhero film? I'm going to say no. It is not a superhero film. It is a deep, dark, gritty, noir, mystery, suspense thriller. And the main character just happens to do it in a really elaborate costume. But it doesn't have necessarily those superhero bits to it. And I can't right off the top of my head put my finger on it, but it didn't feel like a superhero film to me at all. It is that, you know, he's a detective. Batman has always been known as a detective. At least that's where he started out as. And he is doing some big time detective work in this movie. And another thing I found interesting is it's also classic commercial fiction, whereas you've got the beginning, you know where it's going to end. We know who the bad guy is before the movie even starts. So it's all about the journey. This movie is totally about the journey, not about the destination, which is interesting. And it is an interesting journey that takes a lot of interesting paths. I don't know if I want to sit down and analyze if all those paths were necessary. Just go along for the ride. It's a river rapid. It's a river rapid of a ride. Yeah, I just found it very intriguing. Also, what I found interesting, like we had the big fight scenes. There were some really good fight scenes. I love a good fight scene. We also had a great car chase scene. And I was laughing because normally when you go to like a Marvel film, there's hooting, there's hollering, there's moments where you go, oh, Easter egg, oh, this there, whoo-hoo, that there. There was no hootering or hootering. There was no hooting or hollering in this film. And if all the places, that car chase scene, I was the only one dying. Oh my gosh, seriously, happens to just hit that ramp and flies to the flame. I was dying, laughing out loud, going, because at the very least, it disturbed a, what the fuck is going on? My theater, which was not empty. It was a fairly crowded theater. Crickets. I couldn't hear a thing. Because I was doing quite a bit of hootering and hollering myself at some scenes, because they're the over the topness that you kind of, I guess you would expect it in a superhero film. But, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, did enjoy that. We did get emo Batman. Oh my gosh. And that's the thing is, we didn't get a whole lot of Bruce Wayne. Very little of this movie is Bruce Wayne. It's primarily Batman. And when we did get Bruce, it is super emo Bruce. Yeah, which is funny because it took me back to my childhood in the 90s during the grunge era. It's like, oh my gosh, he's like every guy I went to high school with right there. Flashbacks, man. There was flashbacks. But Robert Pattinson, I think, did did just fine as the Batman. Yeah, I didn't mind him. I had to think about it. No, it was a little one note, but the whole film was kind of one note, but not in a bad way. This is a movie that's going to sit with me for a while, because the reason I say it's one note is because it's very dark, it's very grungy, it's very dirty, it's very somber. And so he just kind of carried that tone through the whole thing. It was very consistent. But that didn't make me not enjoy it. It was what it was. But yeah, it's completely different tone than the first four. Even a much different tone than, like, if you thought Dark Knight and whatnot was dark and gritty, what it was, so different. So totally, completely, utterly different. Did they leave it open for a cliffhanger? Yeah, they did. You know they did. Yes, so I'm dropping in with more stream of conscious thoughts I had on the car ride home, which was, forgot to mention, Colin Farrell was great as Penguin. Totally, completely unrecognizable, which makes you wonder, did it need to be Colin Farrell in that role? Not that necessarily it was a good or bad thing that he was Penguin, but just interesting, because he was really good, but completely, totally, wholly unrecognizable. Food for thought. Andy Serkis, though, I felt was wasted as Alfred. I think they could have done more with Alfred. I wanted to see more of him with Alfred and him with his relationship with Bruce. Again, we didn't have very much Bruce, but I think he was not utilized to the best of his abilities. And then also, it's a long film. Remember I said it's about the journey? It's a long journey. And just when you think it's over, it's not. And then when you think it's over again, it's not over. And then you think, oh, here it is. No. So plan, if you're like planning your bathroom breaks, plan them accordingly, because this one's a long one, y'all. It's a long one. Yeah. Now, the parts that drove me crazy, I was going to say batshit crazy. This is what drove me batshit crazy. And it might be just mini particulars, but okay. It rains a lot in this movie. And being from Seattle, especially this last week, is like one of the wettest weeks we've had on record ever. I know rain. And he's constantly wet. And he's in that suit. And I know he's tracking rainwater everywhere. He's walking through a crime scene. He's disturbing the crime scene with all the rainwater. Where's the Batman? I know where he is. Follow the trail of rainwater, and then that's where you'll find him. Why did it have to be so wet? I don't know. Again, is that nitpicking? Yes, but it would pull me out of the scene because I'm going, my God, get him a towel. Everything's wet. Also, they're not very stealthy. They put them in the loudest modes of transportation. Really loud motorcycles. He's got a car with a jet engine on it. How could you not? I'm sorry. My parents had Poleras when I was a kid. I could hear that Polera coming 3 blocks down the road. I would hear the, and I know mom and dad were coming. Put whatever you are, put it away. There is no way in hell he's going to sneak up on anybody at any warehouse, driving that car or riding up in that motorcycle. Again, nitpicking? Yes. But it would pull me out of the scene. Other than that, again, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So, is this something that you should run out and see in the theater? I'm going to say yes, and this is for one reason only. It's because it is so dark. I think you need as big of screen as possible to be able to see all the action, especially if your eyes aren't so great. If your eyes aren't so great, you're going to need as big a screen as possible to make out all the action that's happening in the dark. So yeah, go ahead and see it on the big screen. Yeah, that sounds like a lame reason to go see it on the big screen. But for me, it's a valid one. Just because that way you can catch all the action that is happening. But yeah, I'm glad that I saw it. Very much so. And I would be interested to see if you all felt the same way. If you had different takes on it. I know overall it's getting very positive feedback, which is kind of neat considering, did we need another Batman movie? No. But I'm glad this one is around because I found it very interesting. So there we go. That's my hot bleh take for you. I do hope that you are all doing well. You've had a moment to have some joy today, and I'm glad that you're with me for these last 5 or 6 minutes or so because I do appreciate it. So thank you so much, and until next time, y'all.